Welcome back, cousins. Welcome back to another video. This one is on a important topic. In one of my previous videos, I talked about knowing that you're following a cult leader, right? And what are the signs of following that you may be following a cult leader? This video, I'm gonna talk about false prophets. Okay. Um, the signs that someone may be a false prophet. Okay. Um, it's so easy to get caught up in somebody's words, but sometimes actions speak louder, right? And in a world where things are chaotic, you have spirit guides, prophets, self-proclaimed messengers. It could be hard to distinguish between those who are real and those who are not, right? And with distinguishing between those two, we can often find ourselves being led astray from our spiritual path, from ourselves, from God, because we're listening to false prophets, right? The Bible mentioned false prophets so many times, right? And don't get me wrong, I am not no Bible thumper, but I do read, right? But it mentions beware of false prophets, right? And you will see a lot of them rising, right? Actually, you've seen a couple of them fall throughout the years. But nonetheless, this is how to spot a false prophet, because just like a cult leader, they can be very charismatic, all right? So, with that being said, here are 10 signs to spot um here are 10 signs to spot a false prophet, right? Sign number 1, we have self-glorification over divine purpose, right? They seek personal fame, wealth, power rather than guiding others towards spiritual truth, and they focus on their own greatness instead of pointing people to a higher purpose, a higher power, right? They emphasize themselves a lot. They emphasize themselves a great deal, right? They don't seek to connect other people with higher source or God or the universe, whoever you want to tune yourself to. They seek to glorify themselves, right? They seek to almost deify themselves, right? Um, they have their own personal agendas. They like the fame. They like the fortune. They're very into the fame. They're very into the scene. Okay. So, sign number 2 is the contradictions and the inconsistencies, right? Oftentimes, their teachings will contradict each other, or they'll contradict sacred texts, spiritual principles, or logical reasoning, and they change their messages to suit their audience or personal goals, right? One day they might say, worship nature. Next day they say the nature is against you, and you have to understand me to understand nature, right? They might say something along the lines that contradicts natural law, that contradicts spiritual law, universal laws, right? It contradicts the laws of the world, and because it doesn't suit who they are as a person. So a lot of their teachings will be inconsistent and contradict each other, right? One, that false prophet may tell you the way to salvation is through tears and blood, and the same prophet might tell somebody else the way to salvation is through honey and sex. It's two different things, right? It goes on to sign number 3, manipulation tactics. They use fear, guilt, and shame to control followers. They might demand unquestioning loyalty and discourage critical thinking and questioning, right? And so here's where they start to manipulate people, right? They use tactics like dark psychology. They probably use tactics from the 48 Laws of Power, things of that nature, to promote themselves further, right? They make people feel guilty or ashamed of who they are naturally because they don't follow them. They don't listen to them. They don't look into them. They don't understand them, right? They don't want you to think for themselves. And anything with thinking for yourselves is met with shame, ridicule, humiliation, or even worse, right? Um, and some of these will sound or run into each other, right? Some of these will run into each other, but it's all different avenues, right? So, for instance, number 4, sign number 4 that you're following a false, or there's a false prophet, right? They have material gain as they use material gain as a priority, right? They demand excessive donations and sell overpriced miracles, products, services. Their focus is more so on financial gain than spiritual and personal growth, right? So they might sell a class at a ridiculous price, right? They may sell um their their themselves as far as, come hang with me for a day for $10,000, right? And I was bestowed unto you X, Y, and Z knowledge, right? They might sell courses, they might sell webinars, they might sell products that is very, very high price and swear that it's been imbued by them, but God themselves, ordained by God themselves, right? Um, and so they price gouge, right? They sell their miracles, right? When all in all, is all a sham, a quack. They're quacks, okay? Number 5, they lack accountability, which a lot of, when it comes to cult leaders and false prophets, they lack a lot of accountability, right? They refuse to answer to any higher authority or spiritual community, and they avoid addressing their mistakes or wrongdoings, right? So not only people will call them out on their products not working, they will not take accountability for them not working at all, right? They'll actually place the blame on the user, saying that they was using wrong, or they just didn't have enough spiritual power, or they just didn't need it. Very much gaslighting the user into believing something was wrong with them rather than the false prophet themselves, okay? Number 6, this should be a giveaway. Prophecies fail to come true, right? They make specific predictions that never come to pass, and instead of acknowledging this failure, they blame others or reinterpret their predictions. Right? So they make very outlandish prophecies on the world, on people. Um, you might see them in church. A random person from the pulpit might start prophesying over somebody, and none of the stuff that the person is saying is true. They say something along the lines of, "Oh, I see you having a terrible relationship with your father. You have a terrible relationship with your parents. You have a terrible relationship, and you are going through it. And that's why you come to church today to seek salvation, to fix that relationship." And none of that is true. There was one time somebody was like, "Oh, I see your parents on the other side," and the person was like, "My parents are alive and well. What are you talking about?" And they was like, "No, no, no, it's your spiritual parents. I see them." And they was like, "What are you talking about?" "Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah." It was like a whole bunch of crazy men. So I'm just like, girl, boy, because it was a man too. I'm just like, child. by, right? So, anyway, number 7, they focus on division rather than unity. They create division, sowing distress and hatred amongst people rather than promoting harmony, love, and understanding. And they exploit other people's differences to separate the followers from friends, family, or other communities, right? Similarly to cult leaders, they use these tactics to separate their followers from people who can see that these are some false prophets. These are some cult leaders. These are some people that are not to be trusted, right? And they try to separate those who don't have the mind to think for themselves from those who can think for themselves. And it's probably telling them, that's not a real legitimate person. Okay? Number 8, unethical or immoral behavior. Their personal lives are marked by hypocrisy, dishonesty, and exploitation. They might engage in actions that clearly violate the values they preach, right? So, and there's where the big hypocrisies, hypocrite come from, right? You know, that's where you see a lot of religious leaders to say that getting caught up in scandals where they are exposed for sleeping with someone of the same sex or um paying for services, paying for adult services or sleeping with someone not of age, right? Um they are these are not uncommon, and these are not just the only things that most false prophets get caught up in doing. You see it all the time. And then they go on a spill about how it could be, this is all defamation, lies, tarnish their reputation. And honestly, some people who are very loyal to that individual will believe that, okay? Number 9, claiming exclusive knowledge or power. They claim to be the only source of true salvation or enlightenment, and they discourage seeking wisdom from other sources or teachings. So that goes back to what I was talking about earlier. They act as if they're the middleman between humanity and God, right? They act as if they're the voice and they're the speaker. They're the Messiah for God, the universe, source, wherever you attune yourself to, the higher power, right? And they believe that their way is the only way. Any way outside of their way is a no way, right? It's the wrong way, okay? So be mindful of these people. And the last one, number 10, performing signs for show. Miracles, they perform miracles and signs. Miracles and signs miracles and signs they perform are more about spectacle and less about genuine spiritual impact. Their actions feel hollow, lacking real spiritual resonance. They have nothing spiritual backing them up, right? Not in their products, not in their words, not in their retreats, seminars, etc., etc. There's nothing spiritual backing them up, okay? Everything is almost an illusion for them, and or on a grandeur state, and it's not. It's all performative, okay? There's nothing backing them up spiritually, but the illusion of it makes it appear so, right? So they can make you a mojo bag with no power in it. They can make you a talisman with no power in it. They can make you, they can speak words into you but have no power behind it. No spiritual power at least. No God-given spiritual power at least, right? They could walk with you um almost like the Oz. I mean the Wizard of Oz, you know. It was all he had. He had the head, he had the fire, he had everything, but he had no real power, right? And in the end, the Wizard of Oz could be seen as a false prophet, right? That's just what it is. Now that I think about it, right? Um. So with that being said, the biggest one of the takeaways that you guys should take away is to trust. Use your intuition, use your discernment, and trust it, and seek confirmation. Right? Don't just go with everything someone is saying. All right? Don't just go with it. Use your brain. Use the gift God gave you. Okay? With that being said, I am your spiritual brother. Hope you enjoyed my video. Make sure you like, subscribe, share. Until next time, peace.